Hello warriors, my name is Alejandro Burgos, co-founder of Sovereign Self-Defense and the Warrior Workshop series. Today's video is going to teach you proper grip and stance, how to employ your weapon effectively and get shots on target to neutralize a threat. Master grip, we call it. Most important thing is how you grip your weapon. That is a two-handed high grip. First step is to take this space between your thumb and forefinger right here and drive it high up into the grip assembly called the beaver tail, way up there. For safety purposes, no magazine, weapon has been cleared. So you want to drive your hand high up into that beaver tail. Your three fingers are wrapped around, touching the trigger guard. Notice this weapon here has this little space molded and contoured perfectly for that finger. You don't want it low. Nice and high up in the trigger guard. This space here, notice that there is, rookie mistake one, leaving a small gap, saying, hey Alex, that's high. No, it's not. I'm gonna drive that weapon high. So high, if you start pressing up, we call it tenting a little bit. If you've got some meat bulging out from the back of your hand right there, perfect. High and tight. Okay, notice I'm following safety rules. Finger, your trigger finger is straight and off the trigger. A lot of people will have their finger inside that trigger well. Technically, my finger's not touching the trigger. My finger is off the trigger. Negative. When we say keep your finger off the trigger, that's high up on the slide, high up off the trigger. Okay? That's your dominant hand. If you're lefty, it's the same exact thing, just on the opposite side. You still want to drive that weapon high and tight, getting your three fingers wrapped around, touching the trigger guard with your middle finger. Then, your non-dominant hand, your opposite hand, your support hand. What you're going to do, keep that all together, just like a karate chop. If I was going to karate chop a board, boom, you want that hand, all those fingers together. No spacing, no gaps. You're going to drive it hard up onto the trigger guard. You want that index finger, that main finger, touching the trigger guard, not low. Okay? The meat of your palm, of your non-dominant hand, you want touching. You see that gap right there, that space on the grip module? Nice and tight. Your thumbs, you want pointed forward. Rookie mistake number one, taking this thumb and putting it behind the slide. No bueno. This slide comes to the rear every time you shoot a weapon, every time you shoot a round. Okay? If your thumb's in the way, we call it slide bite. It hurts. Okay? So, thumb pointed forward. Another mistake, training scar, is crossing your thumbs. If you're shooting a revolver, wheel gun, some other military services and police departments still teach this crossing thumbs. We've learned one on top of the other, pointing forward is the most solid grip for recoil control. That is your ideal grip. This is your master grip. Okay? That's what a master grip looks like. Now, stance. How do I stand? Look, this is in you already. We call it a fighting stance. Singers or guitar players. Think about a guitar player that's just jamming out. Okay? You've got it in you. If you were to get in a fight, somebody was to push you over, how would you stand not to get pushed over? Okay? You don't want your stance too narrow. Want to get about shoulder width apart. Slightly offset by about half of one of your feet. One a little bit forward in front of the other. Don't get too stuck in the beginning on an exact stance. 10 degrees, toes pointed out, bent down too far, holding it, lean forward. The foundation of the stance that I'm teaching you is to be more dynamic. Your gunfights are not going to be static. It's not the Wild West or the Civil War where people are just going to stand in front of each other and have a duel. Okay? So, you want this stance to be firm, grounded, but if I got to move, I can continue to move. Your fight is dynamic, so you want it almost like a boxer. Okay? Slightly wide, shoulder width, a little bit offset. Okay? Bend at the knee slightly. Rookie mistake number one, getting dramatic with that knee bend. You can't hold a squat that long. It's not natural. If you lock your knees too much, okay, you restrict the blood flow of your body from your legs. When I was in the Marine Corps, somebody stood at attention and locked their knees too long, boop, they would actually pass out. Anybody stood in formation has probably seen it at least once. So, point is, don't lock your knees. If you want to lock a dominant leg out and keep one soft and dynamic, that's okay if you're comfortable that way. Don't get too caught up in this. The main points are, don't stay too narrow, width-wise, and don't just stretch out on this forward line either. Don't have your feet in front of each other like you're on a balance beam. You lose all balance and dynamism. Just want to stay wide, bend at the knees slightly. Okay? That's from the hips down. That's your foundation. Now, master grip. Don't worry about the draw. Master grip. I've got my master grip. What I'm going to do here is bring that gun up to my eye level. Number one. Don't keep the gun low and bring your head down searching for your sights, red dot or iron sights. Call it turtling, looking for it, okay? Master grip, bring the weapon up to your eye level where I'm comfortable, knees bent, and go ahead and push that weapon out, locking your arms. So right now, I want you to go ahead and lock your arms. Now, when you punch that weapon out, this non-dominant thumb, whatever hand's on a non-dominant hand, I want you to drive it forward like you're using that thumb to point at your target. Notice the shape of my hand, nice and pointed and straight. Toes, pointed at the target. Hips, shoulders, attention. Everything is pointing at a target. What that will do is give you a natural point of aim. It's going to naturally align your body and your sights to get on target. Master grip, bring the weapon up to eye level, driving it forward in front of your dominant eye, pointing everything at the target. Last bit, shoulders. You want to get a slight lean. Your shoulders should be in front of your hips. Call it bullying the gun. Get your shoulders in front of your hips. If your shoulders are behind your hips, knees over toes, you get bent slightly. You get your nose over toes, get slightly bent forward. If your shoulders are behind or level, the recoil management is bad. You're off balance. You start falling back, or overly dramatically the gun will raise. You don't have very good recoil control. Weapon up to eye level. Drive the weapon forward. Get your nose over toes. My toes are kind of offset. That's one way people say it. I say just get your shoulders right in front of your hip line. Boom. Right there is your perfect grip and stance. What this will do is when you actually fire this weapon, boom, and recoil control, recoil will go through your body instead of flailing the gun. Your body will absorb it. So you can get not just one shot, boom, but multiple shots on target. You'll be fast, effective at neutralizing targets. That's your proper grip and stance.